Hey everyone, it's Stacey with Nutrition Jobs. Welcome to another edition of Dietitian Career Success. Today we have April Sins on with us, and she's going to share some really valuable information about how to feel comfortable on camera, how to work as a media dietitian working in retail, and all of the information that you're just going to love about what she does and how she can help us improve our video skills. So welcome, April. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Stacey. I'm excited to be here.
I have heard about you for a very long time. We connected over social media. You have this sort of unique niche that you have discovered that you've gotten really good at, and you are here to share with other dietitians as well. That is about media and being on camera, being on video. So, can you tell us a little bit about your background in video and maybe also how it relates to your other work in retail?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited to share this with you because it really happened by accident. So you never know when you might stumble upon something that you were just sort of meant to do. And so I opened up a cooking school in 2015. I just had this desire to open up my own business. But when I opened up the cooking school, I did not realize that I'd have to be doing marketing and doing reaching out to people and building an audience and bringing people in. And I just thought I was just going to cook with kids. And so I was not expecting this. And I would post events on Facebook. I would say, like, oh, hey, we're doing this chop competition or we're doing these different things. And the news picked up on one of the events that I was posting. And they called me one day and they said, hey, would you come on the news and talk about that like at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning? It was just kind of really random and out there. And my mouth said yes. And my brain, when I hung up the phone, said, what did you just sign up? Alert, alert, I mean, I was not one that wanted to be on camera. Every single time that something like that would come my way, I would search for another dietitian that wanted to be on camera, which was hard to find, but I would find somebody else that wanted to do it and send that them their way. And whenever I went on the news the next morning, I realized that there was a surprise. I actually liked it and I actually wanted to do more of it. And it brought more business to the business that I was trying to advertise. And so it had so many positives, and all of the fears and all of the anxieties that I had about being on camera and being on film didn't even happen. It just was fun. I enjoyed it, and it had a lot of positive rewards after that. So then after that, I kept going on the news every month. But what I realized is that I loved being on video, I loved being on camera, and I loved being able to get the message out. But there was an easier way for me to do it whenever I wanted to and not be on the schedule of the news. So I picked up my cell phone and I just started going live on Facebook and live on Instagram, doing all these different things like that to try and build an audience on my own pages. And so that really enabled me to connect with people, and they could ask questions about, what types of classes do you have? And they could really dive in, and I could really connect with people before they even came into my shop, before I even met them. And so after running my shop for a few years, I actually had a retail grocery store that I began to work with because they said, you know what, you're going on the news, you're doing all these lives. We don't have that at our store, and we would like for you to come and do that for our chain of grocery stores. And so I started doing that, and that's what I've been doing ever since then as well.
Oh, April, I love that story. I love how it sort of built, it started with sort of getting out there and doing something that felt uncomfortable. That built and more business for your cooking school. That led to another job. Like it all sort of
Mhm.
snowballed. And it's so funny that you would say that being on video or being on camera was so uncomfortable, but it then became sort of addictive. It's funny because I sort of think of it as like hot sauce or hot salsa. Like you try it and it's like oh my gosh, that's so uncomfortable. Give me some more. It's there's something about that that I really appreciate, and I think a lot of our viewers will also appreciate as well. And I think, I know a little bit about you, but I think there was something in there also that's really helpful is that you said you weren't looking to be on camera. You weren't seeking out video or sort of these media opportunities. You actually, you weren't looking for them. So sort of skills, I think you are hope for a lot of people. This makes them feel like, oh, maybe I can do something like this. Like, so what sort of skills were you born with? Do you have inherently, or did you develop over time to feel more comfortable being on camera?
So it definitely was a development process. And I don't think that you have to be born to be on camera and born to be comfortable on camera to do it. I really think you just have to get uncomfortable to become more comfortable. It's like that with anything that we do that is new. I mean, the first time that you play, if you go play pickleball, the first time you play, it's going to be awkward, right? So those sorts of things, it's you have to get uncomfortable to be able to get comfortable. Now, one thing that I did learn along the way, because I started doing this about 8 years ago, and when I started going on film, what I would do was I would watch it back. So a lot of the things that I was doing was live, and then I'd go back and then I would watch the replays. I'd watch the links after. And what I was looking for is not to be overly critical of myself, not to, put myself down or anything like that. I was looking for what am I doing well that I like and what do I want to improve on? And one thing that I noticed is that a lot of times I would say or I would use these like filler words in between because whenever I would stop to think when my brain would start catching up to think about what I wanted to say, that's when those words would come out. So I really had to learn to not use those filler words and just be comfortable if there was just a moment in silence to where I didn't have to use those filler words. And some other things that I learned how to do is really consolidating my message. So I feel like we as dietitians, we love to give a lot of information. We want to like
Yeah.
just give you everything, right?
Right.
And the thing is that that can be overwhelming for a lot of people. There's also time limitations, especially if you're on the news, there's time limitations, but there's also general time limitations if you're giving a Facebook Live, for instance, or if you're on Instagram Live. You don't want to go on for an hour long. You need to have a message. And a lot of times, the most important part is the first couple of seconds that you're speaking.
Seriously,
So you
right? Like that's people's attention, whether it's the hook
Mhm.
or just their general attention, like it's just like a few seconds. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So you want to make sure that you really take those first few seconds and fill it with some information. So if you're hopping on a live video, so let's say you're going to do your own live video, or if you're going on a news segment or doing something, that first line needs to be a really good killer line. It has to be something that's going to really grab attention and really give somebody some want to lean in to want to know more. And then after you say that first line, then you can introduce yourself and then go back to what you were going to talk about. So that is something that I definitely had to learn is how do you give good messages? We want to give so much, but how do we consolidate that message to where people can have something to take something with them? And sometimes it's one message, and then sometimes it might be 2 or 3 messages, but not we don't have to give them everything all at one time. We have time. We can go back and give them more.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I think a lot of our viewers might be interested in some granular behind the scenes details. So when people are on video, when they're on camera, there's this moment where you're staring not at any person, you're staring at a little bubble dot, and it's hard to sort of remember what it is that you want to say. What's your trick for like, do you memorize that first line, that hook line, or what's your technique for knowing what to say?
So that first line, I'm gonna think of that first line before I even turn on the camera, before I start, because you don't wanna have to think of that on the fly. You can think of it sometimes on the fly, but you want to know, okay, what's the message that I want to give right here? And then you want to be able to go right into that. I know that looking at the camera can be very intimidating sometimes because you are looking into a bubble, like you said. And it's but the more that you do it, the more you get used to it. And so you wanna make sure that you're really looking straight into that camera and really giving as much eye contact as possible. But whenever you're talking about what's that first line, think of that before you start, but also it's okay to have a little cheat sheet that you can have by you.
Oh,
And
that's a
I'll
great
tell you,
idea.
absolutely. You should have a cheat sheet. And normally, a lot of times, whenever I do live videos, I'll have three. I like the number three for some reason. I do a lot of times, I do three bullet points of these are the three main things that I want to get across. And, or these are my three supporting topics. It could be like that as well. And so having that just written out on a sheet of paper or even maybe some words that'll give you be like a catalyst to remember what to say, that can be very, very useful. Now, that being said, oftentimes I would say most 90% of the time, when I have that written out, I have that next to me or I have it posted somewhere like behind the camera or underneath the camera. I hardly ever use it. But the comforting part is I know it's there in case we all have those moments where just our mind just might go blank for some reason, or we just might lose our train of thought. And so I know that it's there for me to fall back on. So always have something to where you know, especially if you're going to be doing a live video, to where you know that you have something to fall back on just in case.
That's super helpful. I think one, I want to step back a little bit to something you said much earlier on, and it might be in the minds of other people as well. And that is sort of the reason why you're doing video in the first place. Obviously, it can help you like build up your own brand, but you mentioned that it's a really great marketing tool and it can really help build up your business and gets more clients to see you, to understand what your services are. I think sometimes we get so involved in running our business. I know, I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. Like you get involved in the nuts and bolts of it that you sort of forget about, putting yourself out there to see and make sure that people know who it is that they're working with or whatever. Are there other benefits besides marketing and building your business that you see with doing video, with doing media work like that?
I think that at the end of each day, you can think about, okay, how many people did I help today? How many people did I reach today? And video can actually give you some solid numbers, really. There are analytics that can tell you how many people you reached whenever like if you're posting on Instagram or if you're posting on Facebook, you have all of those analytics to be able to look at and see, okay, wow, today I reached 1,000 people throughout different platforms. Where if I didn't do that video, if I didn't post anything, then I would have reached no one or only the people that I just happened to talk to that day. And so just keep in mind that video will allow you to basically expand your bandwidth and a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have time to make a video. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to post it." But it actually, I would argue that it gives you more time. I want you to think of it this way. People can look at your video, they can watch your video, they're scrolling all hours of the day, even while you're sleeping. So someone could get value from something that you have to say. Someone could learn about your business and learn about what you do, or maybe they could even have something that is a myth busting thing because we know that there's a lot of inaccurate information online, and you're putting out good information, and you could help somebody even while you're sleeping. And so that's what I really love about video is because you have that it's like you're all over the place and you're just helping people and you're helping more people than you can just by one-on-one.
Oh, that's so helpful. I hadn't really thought about that. But you're right. You can reach many people, and video is a great way to do that. I know on my own Instagram feed, I have a pattern where I have a reel with that usually features me or me doing something, and then the next tile is just a static post. And sometimes I'm even talking on that static post, but it's no picture of me. And the ones where they feature me always have a lot more engagement, a lot more impressions, a lot more people having seen that. It's funny because they really want to see the person behind it, even though I'm not actually the company hiring for nutrition jobs. I'm just representing the companies that are hiring and helping get the word out. But people want to see the person behind the business. So I think, yeah, you're right. That's really helpful. Tell us a little bit about sort of. I'm curious about two things. Like, I really want to know like how you create an actual video start to finish, but I'm also curious, and I know everybody else is too, how
Mhm.
like what your day looks like. What does your day look like as both a person who does a lot of video and also retail nutrition? Can you tell us like sort of a day in the life of what it looks like?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a lot to cover there. But in a nutshell, so whenever it comes to making videos, there's definitely several ways that you can make the videos. So if you're making this for your business, and then I'll walk you through the day in the life part. But if you're making this for your business, you can definitely do that like you just said, you can do the face-to-face talking. But you can also do something called B-roll where you're filming yourself doing something and you're not even looking at the camera, but then you come back and you put value on top of that by typing in information that's valuable information on the as text on the screen, so people can read it while they watch. And it shows you working and you're a professional and you're doing, because a lot of people struggle with all the different opportunities that there are with video, and they say, okay, well, I don't know which one to do, I don't know which one is right for me. But you can try some different things, see what you're most comfortable with, but just do it and stepping out of that comfort zone. And also remember, I think this is an important piece too. Remember that it doesn't have to be perfect to be able to post it. A lot of us as dietitians, we struggle with, we want everything to be perfect and it to be just right. But having some imperfection is very relatable. It does not have to be perfect and it doesn't have to be overly edited. And a lot of people prefer to watch videos that have a little bit of imperfection to them. And so just keep that in mind if that's something that you struggle with. Now, with the day in the life as a retail dietitian, I have I wear a lot of hats. And one of them as part working with the media. I go on news segments basically on a weekly basis. And then I also do live videos. I have a little cooking show that I do live on Facebook Live and everything. And so I do that every week too. But what's funny is the videos and the news segments are very short. It might be 10 minutes for a Facebook Live. It might be 3 to 5 minutes for a news segment. And what a lot of people don't realize is the time investment that goes into the planning part. So you have to plan all that out. So that's part of like that day in the life. But a lot of times the planning comes days beforehand. If I'm going to do something that might if I'm working with a brand, then that could be a couple of months, ahead planned. So it just all depends on what I'm working on. But one thing that I always think about whenever I'm making a video, if it's if it's brand related, I want to make sure that I'm highlighting the points that the brand wants to get across. I also make sure that the set looks nice. So I make sure that I use some different heights on my anything that I have set up. I make sure that whatever I'm wearing kind of matches what I have set up. I know that sounds kind of odd, but it is very intentional. And I also make sure that I have all those talking points ready and sort of, just ready to go. And so it definitely varies as far as that part goes. But one thing that I've realized is that video reaches so many people and it really can grow a business. It also can build loyal fans. So there are people that will watch my Facebook lives every single week. And if I'm not on, they start writing. Like if I'm on vacation or something, they start typing in like,
What
"Where are
happened
you?"
to you?
So it is it's a great way. And what I want you to realize too is that video is great for entrepreneurs. It is great for you to bring to your business if you work for someone, to if they don't have like a representative to do videos, bring that to them. It could be something that maybe they've wanted it and they haven't figured out what's the solution. You might be that solution. This could scale up your position at that company. So it's not it spans across the usefulness of video, but one thing that's for sure is that it's not going anywhere. It's been growing and growing and growing over the years, and it's definitely something that really gets people's attention. And it's because it's interactive. People can see, hear, they can really like get a feel for things. And no matter what company you work for or what you do, or whether you're an entrepreneur or anything that you do, video can fit into that.
That's super helpful. What kind of tools do you like to use when you're creating your video? Like, do you use special lights? Do you use special apps? Like, what do you like to use and can recommend to all of us?
100%, definitely use lights. And unless you have a really fantastic, you can always sit in front of a window, just make sure the window is facing your face. That is definitely one way to have like a very like low cost setup. But I do have a couple of, I call them, they remind me of like photographers' lights. They're basically like umbrella lights. And the way that I set them up is I set them up on an angle. So think of a triangle and you put one light on each point of the triangle, and I am the point. So put one light on each end, and you're the point of that light. So make sure that you are well lit around you to not have any kind of strange shadows that are distracting. But if you're doing just like a face to video, face to camera, and you're on Instagram and it's kind of more of a relaxed thing, then you could definitely get a small light that's just like a little simple light that you can clip onto your phone and you
I
don't
think I
have to
have that
make
same
a
one.
huge set. You
Yeah,
have that one?
I think
Yeah,
that's the exact
it's
same one.
perfect. Another thing too is a simple tripod can work. Let me see if you can see this one, where you can just set your cell phone in this little simple tripod and it yeah. It's so handy and it's not a costly item at all. And you can even just take this, do that, throw it in your purse, and you always have a tripod with you. That's like a game changer to me. I do have a larger tripod as well if you wanna set up and have sort of a bigger setup and have some height to it. So, it I definitely recommend that. Oh, also, don't forget about sound. So you wanna make sure that if you need a microphone, to use a microphone. So record your videos just on your phone camera in the room where you are and play it back and see how you sound before you go on and post it. Sometimes our homes have echoes and it can be distracting whenever you're watching the video. So if that's the case, use a microphone. Some people have nice acoustically sound homes that you don't have to have a microphone. So just kind of judge from there. But I just use like a microphone that plugs into my cell phone, and I just usually record with that. Everything that I do, I'm using my cell phone. I do not have a fancy, like expensive camera that I'm using. The quality of your cell phone is fantastic. So you don't have to go out and buy a separate camera and do all these things.
That was
Unless you
really
want to.
helpful. Yeah, that's super helpful. Do you use video editing apps at all?
So there's one that I really like whenever I'm editing a longer video on my phone, and it is called Video Shop. And I think there is I do have the membership, but there is a free version. Almost most apps, you have a free version, you have the pro version. So that is one that I like if I'm going to be doing some different fun things with it. But I also like CapCut for social media editing. And what I like about CapCut is that it automatically saves your videos as you make them. So sometimes I like to repost a video. Maybe a couple weeks go by and I say, you know what, that was a good video. I might tweak a couple of things on it and repost that same video. And so I can just go to CapCut, find that video, and then re-download it and then post it. So that's one that I do like as well.
That's fantastic. April, these were such great tips and great insights for all of us wanting to do that. I know that you do recommend people sort of get really comfortable with being uncomfortable and trying to film themselves all the time. Like what frequency does it help to start feeling a little more comfortable?
I think it can be different for different people, but I definitely think that you should do a little something each day until you get more and more comfortable with it. Consistent anything you're consistently doing, you're going to get better at it eventually. And so I think that that's important to remember. And also, you don't have to do that's the beauty of today's day and age. Videos don't have to be long to be effective. So 15-second videos actually do pretty well. And so if you can narrow down your point to what you want to say in about that time frame, it could be longer, don't get me wrong. I mean, things can be longer, but that's all you really need to be able to get a video to reach more people. And so just keep that in mind. Just try a little bit, take baby steps a little bit at a time, and eventually you're going to get more and more comfortable. You have to get used to hearing your own voice and seeing yourself is really the biggest thing. But I think that there's a huge opportunity with video, and I just want to see as many dietitians utilizing that as possible.
That's super helpful. I agree with you, trying to do it as often as possible because I know for myself, when I'm making video content for social media, when I'm on a roll, I realize it's easier to stay on the roll. When I take a few days off, it's really hard to get back into it again. So I think having just a little bit every day, doesn't have to be much, or you can like bulk create and then do all the posting after that if it feels too much, like too many things to do. But I love the idea that it can really build your audience. It can help you reach more people. It can just really build out your brand as well. So that's really, really helpful. Pivoting a little bit, one of my favorite topics is dietitian salaries. And I would love to hear what your thoughts are about how you think that dietitians can position themselves to make more money as dietitians.
Well, video can really expand your reach, and you could have, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you could have the best you could be the best person at what you do. You could be like the best dietitian at, at this particular topic. You could have the best product, the best anything. But if people don't know about you, it's hard to sell it. It's hard for people to really um, give exchange money for the value that you bring. So what's important to remember is that by getting on video, you can reach more people, which can bring more people into your world, bring more people into your audience. But not only that, but you can also help more people. And so I think that the opportunity to be able to make more money by getting on video and getting yourself more out there is a huge opportunity. It's just only limited by what we do. And so, of course, the more often that we're on video, the more people we're going to reach. So being consistent is a really important thing if you want to increase your revenue uh, in that world.
April, you're so helpful. So many great tidbits. This was really jam-packed full of information. I know that our audience will just eat up. I know that we can connect with you. I love your background on your video, or we can see like how to connect with you there. And in the comments down below, everybody, you can see all of the links of how to find her. You've got a course, is that correct, for dietitians on how to do video? Is that right?
Yes, yes, I would love to see more dietitians on video, but the thing is that sometimes some dietitians say, "Okay, I need some accountability. I need some support. I just, guide me, just take me through the steps, and that way you can help me get there." And so I have a course that's called the Level Up Video Fast Track course, and it's on aprilsins.com. We'll take you to the links to the different things that I have on there.
Great. We'll put all that in the show notes down below for everybody. So thank you so much for everybody for listening. Thank you so much, April, for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you, Stacey.
Okay. Bye for now, everyone.